Hello, and welcome to Brews Less Traveled, where we explore the best undiscovered craft beer cities across America. I'm your host, Brian, and we're back with another episode. This week, MC and I enjoyed 2 beers from Double Shift Brewing Company, another great brewery located in the Crossroads district of Kansas City. We featured their Copper Mirrors Vienna Lager, as well as their Tessellation American IPA. We were also joined by Crystal, Joe, and Alanis from Double Shift. We talked about the strong community in their neighborhood, what it was like installing a canning line in the last year, and how to saber a bottle with a tulip glass. Something to note with this episode, we did have a little bit of audio issues during the stream, so please bear with us and enjoy the conversation nonetheless. Cheers! Let's get to the episode. Brews Less Traveled is recorded in front of a live Zoom audience. You may hear mentions to the chat or the live stream viewers. If you're interested in participating in the live stream, you can join the Brews Less Traveled Beer Club at brewvana.com. Hello, everyone, and how's it going, MC?
Hey, Brian. I'm good. How are you?
Another night. Great to be back. Great to have everybody in the chat with us. Shout out to all the subscribers joining us on the stream tonight. MC, how's it going tonight? What's going on? What are we getting into?
It's going good. I'm really excited about this last brewery, last but not least, in Kansas City. You know, we've had a lot of really good beers out of Kansas City, so I do not think that we're going to be disappointed tonight.
And we have a wonderful featured brewery tonight, Double Shift Brewing Company. We have some guests joining us from Double Shift, and we'll be drinking their Copper Mirrors Lager and their Tessellation IPA. But first, MC, I believe you have some news to share with us.
I do. I do have some news. Probably a lot of listeners by now know about me. I've been because I think I've mentioned it maybe a couple of times. I've been studying for the Cicerone exam for a long time now, and I took my exam at the end of January. I got my exam results back this week, and I am really excited to announce that I'm officially a certified Cicerone.
Woo!
Yeah.
Congratulations. That
Thank
is so
you.
wonderful to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
Oh, I got you a present.
Yeah? What is it?
It's a sticker from Double Shift. I sent
Brian,
you one.
how did you know? That was perfect. It's exactly what I wanted.
No, seriously, our friends at Double Shift sent these stickers to include in this month's box. So, live stream viewers, throw it in the chat where your double sticker is going to end up. But seriously, MC, congratulations for passing the Certified Cicerone exam.
Thank you.
As a certified beer server, I have looked over that. I have considered taking that many times, and it is a daunting task to even consider studying for it, let alone passing it. So huge, huge props to you. Congratulations.
Yeah,
it's such
you.
Awesome news.
Yeah, it was daunting. I'm glad that the studying is out of the way, but now I got to stay sharp. You know, the studying kept it right there at the front of my head. So
yeah,
can't slip now.
No, can't slip up at this point. But seriously, I can't think of a better way to celebrate the newest certified Cicerone in the United States than to open up this Vienna Lager and get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, me neither. Let's do it. Vienna Lager, that's not a style you see a ton of. I'm excited to get into this.
Definitely. Our good friend Kit Kat in the chat is asking, are you going for the next level? That would be the advanced Cicerone.
It really seems to be the first question everybody's asking me recently. I don't know. So I work at a brewery right now. I work on the canning line. So there's not a ton of reason to be an advanced Cicerone on the canning line, but I also do a lot of this education stuff. I work at Unboxed, which is a sister company of Brianna, and I do some remote tours there. So any more education I can get is beneficial, I think. So I think for right now, I'm going to take a beat and just enjoy drinking beer for a little bit. And I think if I do anything next, our friend Elizabeth Belden from Casey Beer Company has kind of gotten me excited about learning to be a BJCP judge. So I might look into that next.
I have heard the step from certified Cicerone to advanced Cicerone is a massive undertaking. And not to dissuade you from doing it, but I think I would agree with your assessment of maybe going a little different direction, maybe pursuing some judging, stuff like that. Take a break from the serious beer studying, and use that knowledge that you gain to judge other people's beers.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. When will I start home brewing? Any day now. I've been flipping through the home brewing books. I do a little bit of R&D brewing at the brewery that I work at right now. I just go and help. So yeah, hopefully soon.
Yeah. So Vienna Lager tonight, like you mentioned already, definitely not a style you see very often, but a style I always reach for when it's available. Beautiful, dark amber, almost brown color in this one. As the light hits it here, you can really see that almost ruby red color in it. Beautiful head, kind of an off-white colored head.
Yeah, nice and toasty. It gets almost like chocolatey as it kind of like sits in your mouth for a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah, more of those subtle and kind of behind-the-scenes malt flavors come out. Definitely some toffee in here, as some people are saying in the chat.
I was just about to mention that because it is brewed with correct me if I'm saying this wrong, a Kveik yeast.
Okay, hot debate coming up here because I'm certainly going to say it wrong, but I've heard Kveik or Kvek, okay. Something like that. Yes, Roger in the chat identified it. Yes, Kveik, Kveik, Kviek.
Exactly.
That yeast, which hails from Norway, is actually used in this beer. Very, very special yeast. Do you have any experience with Kveik?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I mostly see it in IPAs. I don't know if that's just kind of a trendy thing to do, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it comes from Norway. It's traditionally used as a farmhouse ale yeast. But rather than what we kind of have come to know about farmhouse ales, it's not so much funky as it is fruity. The characteristic taste of Kveik yeast that I have come to know, at least, is kind of like a fruit leather, like a fruit roll-up almost. Are you getting that a little bit? I think that's where that toffee is coming from, like that yeast, the intersection of the yeast and the malt, I think.
Now that you say it, fruit leather like jumps out. Like it's not like a fruit snack flavor. It's not like a fresh fruit flavor over ripe fruit flavor.
It's almost like a chocolatey, jammy taste. If they made like jam out of chocolate, that's what I'm getting in this beer.
Ooh, chocolate jam.
Yeah.
New idea.
Just a thought.
Yeah, and the more I smell it, that I'm getting a lot of that fruit leather raisiny character in the aroma. And I think you're spot on with your assessment there, is that it's that interplay between the fermentation character and the malts in here, which is something you normally don't get in lagers, because the whole role of yeast during fermentation in a lager is to really get out of the way and just ferment the beer and really not add a ton of flavor to the beer. Right.
And Kveik yeast is brewed, this would be a good question for our guests, but I don't know that this would necessarily be considered a lager, maybe more of a hybrid style, because this yeast ferments very well at a higher temperature, at like pretty high temperatures, actually. So it might be fermented a little warmer than a lager typically is.
Yeah, and some people are calling it out in the chat now. Pseudo lager is often the term that's associated with these types of yeast or these types of beer. Because, the craziest thing about Kveik is it tolerates fermentation temperatures that most other yeast strains would not be tolerable at all. So, for context, the typical fermentation for an ale is around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius for our international viewers. And Kveik could ferment upwards of 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
I don't know what that is in Celsius. I only know normal ale fermentation.
Right. Do you want to know a hilarious factoid that I found out about Kveik yeast recently?
What is that?
So apparently, traditionally, Norwegian brewers would scream into the fermentation barrel because they thought maybe that aided in the fermentation process. It's free. You can't go wrong. Might as well try.
If you, for the fans at home, if you didn't know this, Norway is also what many would say is the originating country of black metal, and big influence on death metal. So maybe there's some tie in there.
Right.
Somebody was walking by a brewery and they heard a brewer just and they're like, we should turn that into a song, and then the rest is history that not too many people know, and everybody that is listening now is getting tired of my black metal references because no one cares. This is just a wonderful beer to be drinking on a night like this, a cozy tasting beer for a cozy evening.
Yep, and it's cold. Oh my gosh, it's so cold in Missouri. So if you were drinking this in Kansas City tonight, even better.
That would be absolutely great. It's like in the 40s here, so it's not super cold, but definitely makes for a nice beverage, even despite that it's not that cold. I think it's time to learn more about our featured brewery tonight, learn more about this beer and the brewery behind it. So please welcome Crystal Smith, Joseph Simmons, and Alanis Butler of Double Shift Brewing Company. How's it going tonight?
Hey, good. It is very cold here. I heard you mention the weather. It is.
Yeah, I'm in Columbia, so I'm sure our weather is very similar. Yeah. It's punishing out there.
Very brutal.
Yeah, I definitely went for a little walk and couldn't feel my fingers after a while.
Right. So a little more about your brewery before we really get into the thick of it. Double Shift, you guys describe yourself as located in the heart of the Crossroads Arts District, which our listeners know all about at this point in February. You've been providing Kansas City with high quality beer in small batches. And this is a quote. This isn't me saying this. Crafted by maniacs who live double lives. By day, you are brewers who ponder only beer, and by night, you are artists, musicians, video game, and tattoo enthusiasts. So, right off that description, that's quite an intro. Sounds like, there's a lot of intersection between beer and art in your brewery, in your work. Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, what role does art play in the story of Double Shift? Whoever wants to take that.
I'm sorry, John couldn't be here because it was a weather-related thing, but he's our head brewer. He was one of the first employees at the brewery and started bartending when he was in art school and has just kind of worked his way up. And he is still a graphic designer. He actually has his own company as well. And he does all of our labels and our merch, and he even painted the on the brewery, the side of the brewery there. Him and his buddy painted that. Oh, it was you and John? Yeah, okay, it was him and John. They had to rent a little cherry picker and to paint that up there. Yeah, it was negative something with the wind chill today. It was definitely the coldest day in a while.
Does he do the can artwork, like the cans that we're looking at tonight?
Yep. He does. So yeah, he does those. And then, any images you see related to Double Shift, I think ever. Has anybody else done any labels? He's been there for so long. So
Logan will do some.
Oh yeah, his I guess business partner with his graphic design company does some of the stuff for us as well. So they do collab a little bit for sure on some things. Creature Boys is the name of their company. But yeah, and they're definitely, so that is probably the biggest art related thing. But then also I think all of us as well, I know Joseph and John bond a ton over music. And that's where some of our beer names are derived from kind of weird music related things. Tattoos, we had a beer called Sucky Panther. That's pretty obvious. If you have ever Googled Sucky Panther, you can go down a huge rabbit hole there. But we all have we're all tatted up, some more than others. I think we appreciate the art behind that as well.
And then also our location too, I think was a huge part in the Crossroads just in general. It was an art district, obviously, so it's been slowly building up over time, and now there's a ton of breweries and distilleries down there. And it's still, I mean, I think at its core, the Crossroads, East Crossroads at least, is heavily involved in art. I mean, if you travel down like where we're at, there's like graffiti everywhere. So we're obviously like inspired by that. I mean, there's art all around us that I think kind of inspired us too.
Yeah, we're actually super fortunate that there is graffiti / murals everywhere, and it provides us with a lot of cool photo ops. I don't know if you scrolled through our Instagram at all, but we get a lot of color from that, which is really fun.
Yeah,
gives a lot to the marketing department to work with.
Yeah, we just basically walk down the alleyway and take photos. Yeah, we honestly we've had a few professional photos done, but like usually the beer can photos are John or myself or Alanis or Joseph, just kind of wandering around and finding inspiration.
That's awesome.
Like outside the brewery.
Yeah. Usually we just like steal a 4-pack from the fridge and just kind of like walk a few blocks and like, does this work or is this a no?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
Now let's take a beer break. We've talked about a few of the stories surrounding the Norwegian variety of yeast known as kveik, but have you ever heard of a kveik ring? Now these were circular rings made of interlocking pieces of wood, historically used by brewers to capture wild yeast and then reuse that yeast in future batches. Brewers would hang these rings above open-top fermenters, dipping the ring into actively fermenting beer and then allowing the ring to dry. The ring could then be dipped into subsequent batches, not only inoculating the new beer with the old yeast, but also capturing any new strains picked up from the environment. Now let's get back to the show. Let's get into our second beer. I have a question for Alanis. Alanis, can you tell us more about this Tessellation IPA that we're drinking? First of all, am I saying your name right? Alanis, Alanis? I've went back and forth on this.
my parents were big fans of Alanis Morissette, so that's where that comes from.
Okay.
So Tessellation it's just supposed to kind of highlight the mosaic hop that a lot of brewers tend to use with IPAs, and we just thought the hop in general was just really awesome, like a really nice flavor, and so we just really wanted to make sure we could highlight that. And so we just made like a really nice kind of single hop mosaic. Like it's almost the entire boil is just like, I think it's like about 8 pounds of mosaic. And then the dry hop is also a ton of mosaic as well. So we just really love mosaic.
Mm.
Yeah, that classic mosaic aroma just jumps out of this glass.
Yeah. But it's still like really drinkable. Like I feel like mosaic just doesn't give you that straight hop burn at the end as like a lot of other like big like alpha hops can.
Yeah, that's this weird thing for the listeners at home, viewers at home. There's this weird thing that happens when you start to really heavily hop beers, especially beers that are loaded with a lot of oils and acids. You get this thing that brewers and beer nerds call hop burn, where you get this great hop character up front, but on the finish, it almost burns it almost burns your mouth as it goes down, and it's very unpleasant. And this beer has absolutely none of that, and it's just
that's a very smooth.
We definitely kind of call it a gateway IPA in the tap room.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, people that will tell me that they don't like IPAs, I can get them to drink this for sure.
And even though the appearance isn't what you would associate with like New England or modern style IPAs, it still has a wonderful juicy finish. It's not too dry, but like you said, it's still very drinkable and very enjoyable. I am borderline depressed that this is the only one of this beer that I have.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I unfortunately no plans to be able to ship our beer out that far yet. Well, obviously being in Columbia, we are working on being able to ship our beer within the state of Missouri because our license will allow for that. But there's still a lot of hoops you have to jump through before you can actually make it happen.
Oh,
so
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, My 30th birthday is next weekend, so I'm planning a brewery trip to Kansas City next weekend. So maybe I will just buy a few cases to bring home.
There you go. We actually next week, it's cool you mentioned that because we did a collaboration beer with Perennial out of St. Louis, and we are supposed to release that on next Friday.
Oh my goodness. For me, for my birthday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just for you.
Yeah.
Goodness. God.
We heard you were coming to town. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Shout out to Perennial Artisan Ales. Phenomenal brewery.
Okay.
And
Amazing.
super nice people.
They were honestly so amazing to work with. Like, I don't know, like as a brewer, sometimes you're really afraid to ask questions because sometimes there's a lot of like just guarded knowledge sometimes with a lot of things. And so they were just super nice with just like, oh, hey, like this is kind of how we do our thing. Or like, have you guys thought about trying this out with like your next beer? Like, how is your process with this? What is this like?
That's so cool.
So I read that, like a lot of breweries in 2020, 2021, especially, you all started canning your beer. So can you explain to our listeners, to our live stream audience, some of the challenges of canning beer, especially like right now or during 2021, especially when everyone was trying to get their beers on cans and on shelves?
Where to begin?
Yeah. It's
right.
I mean, we were super fortunate to get a canning line early on in 2020 because we were already talking with Alpha, their company up in Nebraska that we get all of our equipment from. We actually just got another tank this week. Yeah, we were already talking with them. We're in the process of ordering the canning line, so we were really early on that list. And then by the time it took like 15 weeks or something like that for us to finally get it.
It was definitely always one more week kind of a thing.
But then by the time like we went to go pick it up, and there was like we were like number 12 on the list of like 50. So that's how many orders, like back orders they had. So it was really crazy, obviously, especially that was a time like we were shut down, and then we just had to pivot, and like that's when we started to pivot towards putting anything like we started out with bottles, just hand bottling a lot, anything we could, and that we were fortunate to have a good fan base and like a bunch of awesome customers that supported us through that. And then just I think the issue now that everybody has is getting cans. It's harder to get. Like 12 ounces are really hard to get. We do 16 ounces, and we've been fortunate to be able to get them, but so every week it's like a kind of up in the air. Like, are we going to be able to get them this week?
I think that's one reason that we decided to go with 16-ounce cans is because we knew already that it was a struggle to get 12-ounce cans. Luckily, that has worked out for us, and there hasn't been an issue getting 16-ounce cans to this point. But I mean, I think we keep hearing that there's an aluminum shortage. So
they keep saying that.
Our canning line, we are able to switch it to 12-ounce cans. Not that I think if we couldn't get 16-ounce cans, we probably couldn't get 12-ounce, but does take a lot of work to kind of switch that over though. But we do have the ability if we needed to. Yeah, we found our market does really tend to gravitate towards the 16-ounce cans.
I think most breweries are going that way, either because of, I don't know. I in my perspective, it would be I think customers are more likely to justify like a $16 to $20 4-pack of 16 ounces because it's like, oh, it's bigger cans. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, only have 4 of them.
Really naive opinion of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen upwards of like 25, occasionally more for a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans here. Especially as you're seeing some big stout or triple IPA or just like a really specialty barrel aged or anniversary release.
It's also a little easier too, I think, for liquor stores to break them up into the single store. That's a huge format that some of the stores that carry us do. They have huge pick six doors, and they can make decent margins off of a 16-ounce can. I think that's kind of like that plays a big role in it too, as far as like going with 16 ounces. but yeah, like you said, I think I do agree with. I think it's people can justify or do justify it's like, oh, they are bigger, and they will spend a little bit more money.
I think it allows us to get a little weirder with our graphics as well.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more room to work.
There you go.
There's more room for
the canvas is much larger for John and Logan.
Yeah. Where like we'll sit around the computer and be like, yeah, can you throw in like a bloody gun? What does that look like?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have a question for Joe. In my research that I did for the live stream here, I saw a video of you sabering a bottle with a tulip glass.
Yeah.
And
with a tulip glass?
Yeah.
With a tulip glass. So this is a two-parter. For folks who don't know, how do you saber a bottle? Like, can you explain that? And what is the most dangerous object you've used to saber a bottle?
Oh, man.
I will be surprised if it's not a tulip glass.
Okay. Well, so again, this is kind of a story of events that were happening around that time. Yeah. I don't even know where to start with this.
My God.
That was when we first started. That was actually when we first started to bottle it. So I think it was Tessellation. That was around the time we started bottling. We first started bottling. But we also I have some other on-premise accounts that we were just sabering bottles all the time. That was just like the thing. On Sundays, we would meet up at this place called Campground, and everyone would just like buy bottles, and we would just be sabering bottles all night. So that's kind of where that like came from. And then you just kind of get really good at it. You saber enough bottles, you kind of know what to do. But I mean, yeah, it was like pretty easy. I mean, it's just the tulip glass. I mean, the bases are pretty thick. So you just got to kind of ride it up that neck and pop the cork or pop the bottle off, top of the bottle.
So from how I understand it, you find that seam on the bottle where when the bottle was formed, it was connected. And the idea is to put pressure on that as you slide up it, and that will slice the top of the bottle off, send it flying, give you an awesome Instagram or TikTok video, and make everybody go, yay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's just, it's pretty easy to do, honestly, with like a long neck bottle, because I think that's what we were using. And those are pretty easy. And yeah, you don't have to do a bunch of pressure, apply a bunch of pressure, you just slide it. You got to be confident. You just got to go with it.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's already pressurized inside the bottle. So like, it just needs a little, little effort.
You hit that lip like right before the cap, and then it comes off.
Poof.
Pretty easy. Maybe
all right.
We should make.
Yeah, I just was thinking. Now we have TikTok. Now that saber video is free TikTok. So, man, we need to saber some more stuff.
Yeah. Well, we need a bottle. Start bottling.
Oh, there we
go. Special announcement: we announced this beer just so we can post this video of Joe sabering a bottle again. Please come buy it.
But no, that was the whole sabering was pretty much in. He's a friend of mine, a friend of the brewery. He's a wine director for Fox and Pearl, a restaurant here in Kansas City, and he was the one that kind of started that whole craze. And then you kind of talked about what was the craziest, like they used like a pickup truck one time to saber a bottle.
What?
A pickup truck, a hatchet. Really? I mean, all kinds, like whatever you can find.
My favorite was a child's bicycle.
Oh yeah, were you there for that?
No, but you told me about it. It did sound cool. We're like, what?
Yeah, it's just whatever you can find, really.
That's awesome. I am going on a trip this weekend, and I am going to. I'm actually going on a cruise, and I think that would be frowned upon if I sabered a bottle there. But
oh my God.
You just gotta create the vibe. Create the vibe.
Yeah, I don't know how it is on cruises anymore. If they try to cut down on glass, if a lot of stuff is like canned now. It's been a minute since I've been on a cruise.
There's a lot of hazards involved in it. It's probably a bad idea, though. I mean, at best, I will be mildly scolded. At worst, I'll be thrown off the boat. So
yeah, I guess make sure you really take time to consider what your next port is, because that is where they will take you to jail.
Do it on the way back. Thank you for the advice, Crystal.
You're welcome.
Taking notes.
I mean, they smash bottles on ships, like
when they launch them.
Yeah,
that's how you send the boat off.
You're just like, you're out there now. You're just like, we made it. So just, start sabering bottles.
Yeah. Right.
I hope my wife is watching and taking notes, because I will need these notes after the stream.
You have a job to do here, Brian.
Yeah,
exactly.
We can make it happen.
All right, so I have a question for Crystal. So we found out that your husband is a chef. And not just any chef. He actually happens to be the chef at Torn Label Public House, who we spoke to last week on the podcast. And, is a big topic of discussion around here. So with your experience in tap rooms and hospitality and his experience in restaurants, we're kind of wondering what impresses the two of you about a dining and drinking experience.
I will say that the number one thing is service. Service can make up for a lot. And honestly, I would say like it's the two of us, when we go out, we're very aware of where we're going. If we're going to, I don't know, Buffalo Wild Wings, we have a certain expectation there.
Sure.
We're not like, whatever. If my wing came out cold, I honestly wouldn't be that disappointed. Especially now, because I know how, and obviously he has had personal experience of how hard it is to staff a kitchen right now, or in general, a restaurant at all. So I would say one of our best experiences, now I will say it was a Linea in Chicago, which that bar got set pretty high. I think it was like number 7 in the world at the time that we went. But I mean, I wouldn't have cared what was on my plate. It was the nicest staff. I don't know if you guys have had experiences like sommeliers, but sometimes they take their job a little too seriously. And these guys were so down to earth. When you are going somewhere like that, you would maybe not expect that. But they were so cool, and for us, I would say service is the number one thing that really sets places apart.
So for repeat viewers, folks that joined us last month or 2 months ago, we talked to Marcus Bakersfield, the founder of Weathered Souls and also the founder of the Black is Beautiful movement. Now, Double Shift participated in the Black is Beautiful movement by brewing your own take on it, and you partnered up with a local organization called the Urban League of Kansas City. And talking with Crystal, we found out that this is a continuing relationship with the Urban League of Kansas City. So would you like to talk more about who they are, what they do, and what you work with them on?
Yeah, so they, obviously, I think Black is Beautiful, a big drive on that was social justice issues, which they definitely do. Kind of what drew us to them versus, so many other great charitable partners was their education initiatives, not only for children, but for adults. And especially, when 2020, it was kids having to do distance learning or whatever you want to call it nowadays. So it was getting tablets and laptops into the hands of those people so they could continue to learn when they were at home. So that was a big, of the first initiative was Black is Beautiful is we specifically wanted to help with the education aspect of that. Because I think, kind of what we all thought, because we really did sit down and we talked about it for a while, because I know for John, it's really important. I think honestly, all of us, it really important to really face those challenges head on. Because as we know, in the brewing industry, it's still not balanced well with minorities. So it's important to us. And so that was a big thing for that. And the other thing was that we wanted to continued partnership. We didn't want to do just one thing, give them some money, and then call it a day. We wanted to really make it count. And they've been great partners. They usually come to the brew day when we do it for the beer. We're on our second beer right now with them. It's called Black and Bold. It's a English brown ale with chicory and cold brew coffee. And we were kind of throwing it back to, I think it was kind of your idea, like a New Orleans kind of vibe, because we like the culture there. And we asked them for their input on naming this beer, and they really wanted to do Black and Bold. So I should say we asked for their input, but we let them name it. So that was all them. And they always come, like I said, they come out to the brew day. They usually share our posts, social media posts, and they usually come in and they buy around or buy cans, or depending on how the format. For Black is Beautiful, we had bottles still, so but yeah, they've been great. They're really great. They'll come and try, and I think that was a big concern of ours with them, especially since we did want to focus on education, was that it was okay that an alcohol producer was partnering with them, and making sure that was okay. And we kind of even have thrown around, like, should we do like a brewer for a day kind of thing? I mean, that's the other thing, is like people realizing other kinds of jobs that you can get, obviously brewing being one of them. That may be something that most people wouldn't really think about. I mean, it's not even really something that like vocational schools do. So we're trying to partner with them, however we can, for however it makes sense for them.
That's a great thought. I just had a conversation with a coworker the other day about that nobody ever considers like brewing as a job when, you go to career fair in high school. So that's really cool. I really like the idea. Yeah.
Obviously it's a little tricky because of the age situation.
Sure.
Yeah, a little dicey.
Yeah. A little bit, but maybe get them when they're in junior college or something.
Yeah.
Because you really only have to be 18 to serve alcohol. So.
Right. Yep. That's when I started serving tables and serving wine and serving beer. So, okay. So, we've learned so much about Kansas City this month. Kansas City is known for a lot more things than I think people know about Kansas City for. But what is something that each of you, all of you, wish that Kansas City was more well known for?
I pretty much grew up here. I moved away when I was like 30 and moved to Orlando, Florida. One of the first conversations I had with someone was like, "Oh, did you grow up on a farm?" And I was like, that could not be further from the truth. I mean, because I think Orlando and Kansas City, metro, like obviously notwithstanding like Disney, but I think the actual city has about the same population. And for me, I found a lot more things to do here in Kansas City than I did in Orlando, because it is so driven by tourism there. It's a little bit lacking in like the arts. I know for us, music is obviously a big thing here. We partnered with a place that did have to close this last year, but the Riot Room we've partnered with a couple times. But just like little venues like that where you can go see like a kick-ass, sometimes local band, regional band for like $10 or $15. And you cannot do that in Orlando. Wouldn't even know where to go see like a play or a ballet. Like, we definitely have museums here, and obviously, big tourism pulls are like major league sports, and I think we just have a little bit of everything. Food and drinking is obviously a big thing too here.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, I think like food for me, like, I'm not from Kansas City. I've only been here for going on 6 years now, but I mean, just the food here is incredible. There's so many hidden gems and just hole in wall places that you wouldn't think were just incredible. I mean,
right. Not just barbecue.
Yeah. I mean, we're known for barbecue as well, but it's also, I mean, like her husband, going back to her husband Vince, like I love everything that they're doing at Corn Label. The food there is incredible. It's not like your typical burger or like a greasy burger that you're gonna get. It's like there's always something interesting on the menu. Like octopus or like whatever you may have. Like, I love that kind of stuff. So, and it's a lot of stuff that like you kind of see in bigger cities, for example, but you can still find that here. You just kind of got to look for it.
It's more approachable too, because going back to like Alinea, that can be obviously cost and just trying to get in and that kind of thing can be a little bit off-putting. You don't know what to expect, but I think just like the friendly nature of the people here and the community in general, it's just way more approachable. I think even if it is something that's like James Beard nominated, like you go in and like the owner's chatting you up about music or something random, you know. It's
so basically what you're saying is somebody gets a Michelin star and there goes the neighborhood.
Well, no.
No, we're not gonna.
No.
Not necessarily. But,
yeah. I mean, as I said, Alinea was some of the best service we've ever had. I mean, going on 11 years now. But, you know, just the presentation of it, I suppose, can be off-putting. You know, you don't know until you walk in the door. Whereas here, you know, people, you know, like, oh, Fox and Pearl. I was like, yeah, you need to go and chat up so-and-so, the bartender, or this other, you know, ask for this server. Like, usually people know, like, somebody that works there. They can suggest it, like, by name.
There's a really good network of.
It's great.
The service industry is. I mean, it's, you know, I've worked at other bars too around Kansas City, and you just kind of like bounce people around to other spots, and you know, that's a lot of fun too. And it's fun because like sometimes we don't do this at the brewery, but sometimes we'll just send like a little shot. Like if we know if somebody's like, oh hey, like what's a cool spot to go, and we're like, okay, you go to this place, but also like take this with you and give this like I know so and so's working, just give this to the bartender. And so it's like it's kind of a fun thing that we do. I mean,
it's great, yeah.
Like I say,
it's kind of a small town city vibe.
Yeah, it really is. Even today, literally today, I sent two ladies over to a steakhouse, and I was like, oh, ask for Chris or ask for Chad, and they were like, oh, which one should we ask for first? And I was like, oh, I don't know. They're both great. But yeah, I think they were like, okay. And I think that, you know, just makes it, you know, even if you're going to, like $100 a plate steakhouse, when someone says, oh, hey, go ask for so-and-so, they're like, cool, great. We're definitely going now, you know, especially if they can't decide.
It definitely makes the customer feel like, I mean, more involved too. Like, especially for a lot of out of towners, like, you know, we get people from out of town all the time. And that's kind of the best part, is just recommending. It's kind of whoever's working at the time. It's like, they all have their own like spots, so it's like everyone has like their own recommendations on where to go.
For sure.
I feel like you guys have such formal answers. Meanwhile, I'm just like, yeah, did you hear about this like weird conspiracy with like the giant little like badminton like thing we have at the Nelson?
At the Nelson.
Yeah, we have like the shuttlecock that's there for the longest time.
Right.
We can't win the NFL game because the shuttlecock is there, or like it controls the weather.
Wow. I've never heard that one.
Out of range stuff. Or
I had not heard that either. So
I really like to recommend
We're getting it out there.
Yeah.
The West Bottoms to a lot of people, because it's got a ton of, for some reason, Kansas City has a ton of scare houses just in one specific section. And it's just like 5 scare houses in the same block.
Yeah.
And it's like the Edge of Hell and like the Edgar Allan Poe and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So
but it's funny because it moonlights at night as this kind of scare house, but then during the day, it's like this really cool.
It's like all antiques.
It's all antiques. And so like they're just like, come find your dresser of your dreams, or like this refurnished chair. and
then come back at night and we're like, we're gonna kill you.
Oh my God, there's a guy that has a rat and he puts it in his mouth. He's probably long gone because this is from when I was a teenager, but there was one guy who was always at this one haunted house, and he had like this pet rat, and he was sticking it in his mouth, and just while you were waiting in line. You're like, I haven't even paid any money. I haven't really even gotten, like, nope, this is the guy with the rat keeping everyone out.
Yeah, I'm not from, like I said, I'm not from here, so I don't know all the Kansas City folklore.
Don't know rat guy.
News to Joseph.
I don't know the rat guy. It sounds fun. Sounds fun.
All right.
You know,
questionable whether any of the haunted houses were actually paying him, or if he just did it for just for fun.
They're just so sporadic, and like one will be like, "Hey, you want to jump out of a building?" and the other one's like, "You want to go down a dark slide?" It's just like really kind of feverish dream type scenarios that happen in the West Bottoms. Like they just had a Mardi Gras party, I think this past Sunday, where everyone brought their own instruments and they just marched around the block, making as much noise as possible.
It gets weird down there. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed I didn't get to visit Kansas City before this. I'm going to have to make my way out there from Pittsburgh.
Well, it's still getting more and more awesome. So
right,
every day.
Well, thank you so much, Crystal, Joe, Alanis. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is MC's last episode, as well as the last episode featuring lovely Kansas City. We will be moving on to another exciting city next month, but before we say farewell to KC, MC, do you have any final thoughts on KC or your co-hosting experience this month?
I love co-hosting so much, Brian. And I love Kansas City so much. You guys, I've been like just pouring my heart out for the last month. You guys know how much I love Kansas City. So this has been a particularly special experience for me. And I'm just really grateful to have been able to like drink Kansas City beers, be able to share my state in a city that's like so close to my heart with you all. And so, yeah, thank you all for allowing me to do that. Thanks, Brian, for having me.
Oh, that's wonderful. You have been an exceptional co-host. I think fans at home, you could expect to see MC back at some time if she'll agree to come back.
I'll jump at the chance. Fans at home, put your requests in the comments now.
Yeah. Well, that is all wonderful. Thanks again to everybody at Double Shift for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
MC, we'll see you next weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Expect to see like 100%. It's actually in my plans to hit probably all 4 of these breweries that we visited this month next weekend. So
MC, I recommend you go to Double Shift and you ask for Crystal or Joe or Alanis.
Should I take a shot with me? Perhaps?
Yeah. We'll send you one.
We've got like 100 proof vodka.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Well, cheers, everybody. Wow, what a way to cap off our journey through Kansas City. Again, huge congratulations to MC on passing her certified Cicerone exam. We can't wait to see what's next for her beer journey. Thanks again to Crystal, Joe, and Alanis for joining us and supplying us with awesome beers. You can follow Double Shift on Instagram at Double Shift Brewing and on Facebook at Double Shift Brewing Co. You can find more from us at brewvana.com. That's also where you can sign up for the Brews Less Traveled Beer Club and receive a box of beers from our featured breweries shipped directly to your doorstep. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Brewvana and on Untapped to keep up with the latest beers from the beer club. We'll be back next week with a very special episode to kick off our next featured city. But until then, stay safe, be kind, and support those local breweries. Cheers.